I try to joke about all the things that happened to me, and I think to myself, yes, they could be worse, but they could be better too. I've always been annoyed by the authority that's over me that makes me different from other people. Like when I was disabled, especially when I was in school and stuff, and they would say things like, oh, somebody might have to help Kayla read, and I could read by then. I'm just really bad at math, and I do okay in science and stuff like that, but now I can't remember a lot. It's vague. I'm trying to convince my doctor that my memory problems are different. My brain is working in a different way. Eventually, I get the information. It comes out in a weird way. So a lot of the head injury, we did that. A lot of the psychotronics that are hiding behind bulletproof glass did that. I always have my own fan group. And I don't know, I'm not going to place blame on anyone but one sole person. And that was my ex-boyfriend who told me that I should use the internet and actually talk to people because I was kind of weird. I didn't really talk to anyone. Well, people just don't want to talk to me. And then if I do talk, then I'm going to get people like Aura's hush, like we're not allowed to talk because we're not, senior officials in the government. And it's like, what are you doing there? You're unqualified. Why are you telling me to do something when you're not even allowed to do it? But she's allowed to. Yeah, it gets weird. The world is not a horribly cruel place. It's just like disorder and chaos erupting from everywhere. It makes some people have a false sense of security, or they have a false sense of doom. I've seen a lot of things people would call evil, but I just call them moments in life. For me, I've really had a vague memory even before everything. I just kind of like wander through the world. I can't feel my anxiety pain anymore. They're so proud of that operation, but it really took down my quality of life and my creativity and being able to interact with other people. My memory is so bad that I'll come up as like having I don't think they'd go to dementia. I think it would be like something like cognitive impairment or something, because they got that on the last one they did. Like I said, I had subcortical pathology and a bunch of other things. I mean, cortical, sulci, ventricle. They eventually found out I had a head injury and there's signs of inflammation in my brain and lesions everywhere. I always like how people harm me and tell me to work after doing all that, or what they were doing a couple days ago are going to start to do. It's usually because I'm ugly, but really a lot of people on YouTube beauty themselves up and are just catfishing. I try not to do that because I think that you should give the world a representative of what you are and not try to manipulate it. Now, you can be beautiful or you can wear makeup, but I mean, I've catfished a couple times, let's say it. It's not right. So I was talking about authority over me. Usually, I've had a problem with authority because they push me into the ground and into the dirt. Like I've said many times since 7, they've known that I'm not going anywhere in life. It's not going to happen. But they kept pushing me into realms that I didn't belong in, like math and science. And, we'll overcome your problems, instead of working on things that would actually make me a productive member of society. As a child, I realized a lot of these things, but you will be silenced as a child, just like I'm silenced from my authority of our government. Britney Spears said, go call the bubbler, go call the police, all that stuff, and work bitch. And that was me, and I'm in that photo. I used to have real bright blue eyes, but they faded to the murky color, which is common in my family. It's like, dang, what else is age going to give me? Now, I will say that fat gave me more pain than age, because it's better to smoke than it is to get fat. And it's horrible for me because I'm always so tired. My medication, usually you just get used to it. It doesn't really drag me down or anything. At first it did. And yes, I take it. They see me take it, whatever. Not all my weight gain is from my medications. I would say about 20 pounds are, because that's what I gained when I was slim and taking them. And then I was able to lose it quickly by going on a new medicine. I stopped taking it first, let's be honest. But yeah, now they watch me take it and I don't even care what's in there. I'm just like, look, get it over with. Yeah, so I'm a little sad that my imaginary boyfriend isn't in my Google suggestions anymore. I don't know. It hurts when they enter reality. Sometimes I don't know what reality is. I just kind of surf in it. It's not my reality, it's someone else's or whatever. Due to the pain in my head, I have to use Alpha Stim a lot, and I'm still kind of a little glitchy because of that, and I'm going to start using it more, even though it takes about 2 hours out of my day of fogginess, but it helps me to center myself and not feel as bad as I was. I didn't do it when I should have done it. It basically just helps you feel better and helps you lift yourself up to a new state, because my brain is pretty damaged. It's not as damaged as other people I know, which is really sad what happens to us. For me, I was really strong-willed as a kid, and I wish, I mean, it was like, okay, well, when I wasn't in Beatard Land, I don't know if I've discussed Beatard Land with you, but it's a place where you go when you get dominated too much and you start pretty much, you end up crazy. I did a presentation of this like years ago when I was in a different group home with the eye being up here. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell they think we're seeing out of that, but it's not dangerous. I mean, they just want to sell their weapons, and Grimes even has it on her new little song, or whatever song came out with Calypto. Yeah, the sadness of Calypto, Persephone, and all that stuff. It's like, I really didn't want you to do that because my brain is already different, but they don't care about anybody but themselves, and they're destined to save the world, and I'm destined to throw a wrench in it. I'm like, you gotta watch things, but they don't. They're carefree, and they think they're safe, which is very dangerous. In the Army, they always told us, do not be complacent. You don't know what's going to happen. If you don't know what's going to happen, you have to at least prepare for the worst. Yeah, and they're complacent. They're like, oh, we're going to make the world better. And then you have people like me who take thousands of dollars a month in homes. They're like, you're a thief. Don't be a thief. They'll hit something. And I'm like, dude, you can't use those keywords on me anymore because, like, half my brain is gone. I'm sit there and I'm like, what are you talking about sometimes? Sometimes I can't even understand what people are saying. Like, it'll be and it'll go back. So I don't know. I mean, because I'm really ugly, people really enjoy seeing me do horrible things like humping a floor, running into a wall, or, you know, talking about something I don't really understand but I'm curious about, when people are too afraid to talk about their own ignorance. And it's like, I have no problem, man. I'm pretty ignorant. Well, I don't know. I'm doing classes again next semester, and I think I'm going to do American Lit, just not with the same teacher. We just clashed personality-wise. I got a B in her class, and she helped me somewhat. It was just a clash of personalities. And, yeah, she was a very quick-witted, strong woman, but I'm not very like that. No. I don't like to go on and on with emotion, because I barely have it. I saw pictures of myself when I was younger. I told Tori to just get rid of them and do whatever she wanted with them, or burn them and stuff, because I don't like remembering that. I was really cute at certain points, and I remember people called me ugly then too. Right now I just say that this fat is horrible, but I probably look like your middle-aged mother, so don't think that just because I'm not a supermodel, you know, I'm really just a horrible mutation, a crime of nature. Well, I will say okay. So I don't know. It's just sad. What happens to me is just sad. And I mean, other people will kind of get it because they've gone through stuff too. But with my existence, I'm not even with humans. I remember like trees from weird places that I liked, like Cuba and things like that. My memories are so weird. But people will be like, don't you want to date? And I'm like, no. And they're like, but it's weird you don't like boys. I don't like girls either. I don't like little boys. Yeah, I was a hypersexual pedophile for a while. The FBI did that. I am not anymore. You know, I got so many hits in the head that I couldn't even do anything or barely feel anything. It was just so they could trap me again. Yeah, again, I don't think those are evil. They're just moments in time, and sometimes you just can't do anything about someone else's suffering. There's been a girl who was in my old school, and I was like, would you please check for fibromyalgia or ask your doctor? Because she was talking about how much pain she was in, and it was like, I've known other people, but she just was like, don't take it, I don't want to hear your unwanted medical advice. And I'm like, I told you to talk to your doctor. She just wants a reason because we got into a fight at one point, and now she wants to dominate me and be the good old country girl. Yeah, I know. Well, back then, I suppose. I'm not as good at Mr. Hansen's stories about his squeaking chicken that was at Walmart. Of course, you know, he was just in the CIA as like a charity product. I bet. You know, like they put people in who are really enthusiastic, and they're like, well, why don't you see this cool desk and all the papers you're going to have to file today? That's kind of like my jobs. And people really like to flaunt their jobs in front of me, and it's like, well, I'm never going to have any of this, and they're confused as to why I don't fight it that much. And one, I can't even barely work now with all the angels that are there, and they will screw everything up like they usually do. God, you should see my medical file, speaking of like the government fucking up. It makes no sense. There is no thousands of pages that make no sense. Well, some of them do make sense, but I mean, like, they contradict each other. They say things that I would never say, and just things like that. So whenever someone's like, oh, you're faking it, I'm like, would you like to see my health file? Because I did. I released it on my blog, and I put it on RT too. I'm like, go ahead. You really want to get me, go. And I think I should carry a social security card and just hand out the abuse number. But actually being in the group home has helped protect me from a lot of people. Bristol Manor is in kind of, it's not, Republic is growing where I live from. Go ahead and come kill me like everyone else. But it's kind of like a small town or village town that my original city is probably going to pick up. So my old city, I always consider Springfield my city because I spent the most time in it. Republic is a different kind of like climate. It's like, I don't know, just relaxed. Like if you wanted to work in a relaxed place, it's kind of cool. There aren't a lot of like high tech jobs here, so there's not as much, like fancy stuff or, modern billions of dollars. Like when my aunt got lucky when they were building this company next to her house, and she got so much, she gets to live in Belize. Oh, I am so jealous, but I can't go out there because they don't have like a hospital for me in case something happened, and it really doesn't matter because the doctors can't do anything for me anyway. The only thing that I'd have to work at was if they poisoned me again, which I guess they could in Belize. I don't think they have any black sites there, and I would just take pills with me in case they tried to raise my blood pressure and have me have a stroke like they did try to, and I got out of it. All these things sound crazy, but I'm used to I've seen so many bizarre things. I'm kind of like, even when I'm before, they're like, why aren't you reacting? I'm like, what? And they're like, isn't this terrible? Don't you think these dead people are terrible? I mean, on the news or whatever, they're dead. There's nothing you can do about them. My dad once picked me up during a funeral. He says, why aren't you crying? And I said, she's dead, or he's dead. Not my dad, but the person who died. And I was like that as a child. I was very blind. People always get upset with me when I'm like this because they say, oh, she's lying. So people like Grimes have this operation, and so does Lisa Gerard and all that stuff, and they make you clearer because you're supposedly a liar. Most of the times that I've lied are for social graces or because I'm lazy, and I am kind of a lazy person. I'm one of those people that either has to be really structured around, like you have to make sure that I'm doing stuff, and I'm horrible about that. It's partially because of my brain. Now it would be a lot during pain that I'd have to take breaks from, but I do so much and then I just pass out for like 6 months. I used to do even more, but I've kind of given up. I'm like, and which is what everyone wants. They want everyone to give up like they have. I don't want everyone to give up. I'm sure in about 12 years or so, or less than that, they'll be able to fix our brain, and all those people who had glitter in their eyes will be like, yeah, we don't have a job anymore, we can't just fix you with this non-sleep thing. So you can't feel anything or understand anyone, and your head feels like it's in a giant vice most of the day. Yeah, I don't know. People like Grimes are just trying to fulfill themselves. They're terrible people, and they try to hide it with a smile. Oh, I'm so happy I get to learn everything in books and everything, and you guys are just our slaves that we're going to lobotomize and destroy. She thought she was uplifting the human race with Play Destroy with Grimes and Poppy. It's like, this is how we play Destroy. Manipulate the girls, indoctrinate the boys. So yes, they're all trying to, and if they fail, I guess there's a whole bunch of people. She said something about dying in there, and it's like, I don't think I'd kill her or she'll brag about being a mother right before you try to kill her, but none of us, if we got pregnant then, they'd be doing the same thing as in tattoos, what is it called? White Robe or whatever. I think that's the English version. We got us on a block, but if we tried to do it, it would be over for us. Well, I think I've rambled enough. I kind of forgot what I was doing just a second ago. But if everyone needs a SSDI or whatever, I'm on I don't even know. If you think I'm doing abuse, SSDI, yeah, there we go. And that's how my mind works right there. It just came up. Yes, you can look up the number and you can just waste your time. Then you can get really mad and call your contract for weed who knows Jarris Johnson or something, and he can come to my Bristol Manor window and he can try to kill me because he's really into killing. But he's got a great heart now. You know what? There's a big difference between doing this to a small amount of people. It's also a huge difference in dealing with a complicated reality. They will never be able to do it, but more and more of us are going to suffer, and then everything else, they want to destabilize the nation and take over, but it's going to split into little bits, which I think they kind of want too, but they'll have breakaways and everything else, and the military will bond to be one, just stuff like that. Well, the military is coming from the capital is giving orders, they'll break everywhere and start to protect their villages and their families and villages. I don't know how to say that. Rural areas and stuff like that. Like you'll just see a massive chain reaction. Grimes has no fear of death, though. She just keeps smiling and doing drugs. Nobody ever says sorry, man. It's just